Mass Effect 2 is filled with amazing squad mates, and with them come their own loyalty missions. But just as every squad mate is not built to be equal, some of the loyalty missions also fail to impress. So I'll count down my top 12 loyalty missions. To be honest, I'm not a fan of Samara's loyalty mission. There is no combat and the narrative doesn't make up for it. You go to Omega looking for Samara's Ardak Yakshi daughter, and learn that Morth killed a local artist named Neff, and use that information to track her down to Afterlife. After showing off in the crowd, Morth will come out, and once you briefly talk to her, you can trick her into taking you back home. And I will say, it's ironic that a master manipulator like Morth falls for the same tricks.
I'm not the victim you were hoping for.
But you... who are you?
But anyway, Samara eventually shows up and the battle begins.
My only crime was being born with the gifts you gave me! Enough, Morinth!
And this is perhaps the one interesting part about this mission. You can choose to kill Samara instead and take Morinth with you.
I'm as strong as she is. Let me join you. I am already sworn to help you, Shepard. Let us finish this!
But that is unfortunately as far as that goes because Morinth is barely a squad mate. This mission has no big impact on the overall narrative of Mass Effect, and Samara remains unchanged from the outcome. Samara is a great character, but her mission does not match. Zaid is looking to get it back in blood against Vito. Zaid's loyalty mission is a basic revenge story. At its core, it's nothing special, but we do get some good interactions between Shepard and Zaid.
You don't make a move unless I know about it first.
This is my mission. Remember that.
Depending on your choices, the relationship between these two can become very tense. Revenge means a lot to Zaid, and he'll even step to Shepard to get it.
You really want to do this, Shepard?
I had to knock you the hell out. But thanks to you, we have a burning refinery to save.
The exploding refinery is also one of the better battlegrounds in Mass Effect 2, and if you pick the Renegade route, you can hear all the refinery workers screaming as they burn to death. Lastly, this loyalty mission is unique because it has multiple endings. You can help Zaid kill Vito, or you can let Vito go. If you let Vito go, you can earn Zaid's loyalty back by being Paragon. There is one more ending though. If you wait until after the suicide mission, you can leave Zaid in the fire to die. Having said that, I rate this mission lowly because it isn't very important to the overall story, and Vito himself isn't all that great of a character either. Jacob's loyalty mission has a good foundation. Right off the bat, it sets a good atmosphere by letting you know that something here is not quite right.
Distract them for 2 seconds and they forget what you did before the bruises show.
Some of these logs are nightmare material.
But now she's so innocent. They all are. That look she gives when she smiles. It's sure easier now.
And once you push through the mechs and the hunters, you finally get to meet Ronald Taylor. And listen, I know I clown on Jacob a lot, but he's nowhere near as bad as his dad. Ronald Taylor shows no remorse and lies about what he did to his crew.
What about your crew, acting captain?
Total loss. The toxic food turned them wild. They propped me up here in some kind of ritual behavior. Waiting for a chance to signal has been hell.
Easily one of the worst characters in the entire game. On the flip side, I have to admit that Jacob is kind of entertaining here.
You're damn right he doesn't. What happened here? I should vent his head.
You can handle his father in 3 different ways, and Jacob shows good character in all 3 of them. What holds this mission back from being higher is the lack of overall importance, and the fact that this is when Jacob is at his best. After this, he goes back to being boring. Still gets points for giving Jacob this cold line.
Half charged. You've seen the crazy ones. This won't stop them.
It's not for them, Dad.
Taking the Renegade path in Garrus' loyalty mission, you have a basic story about vengeance. But on the Paragon path, we can see a deeper dive into our Turian friend. Garrus lets his desire for revenge compromise his morals. He may have previously been a bad cop, but he's talked about not liking beating suspects for ransoms.
You don't even get good information that way. After a point, victims admit to anything to make the pain stop.
Yet here he will beat the piss out of Harkin. We also get a rare sight where Garrus and Shepard are at odds with each other.
It's just not like you.
What do you want from me, Shepard?
Shepard tries to pull their buddy back from the darkness, but Garrus isn't having it.
I'm sorry, Shepard. Words aren't going to solve this problem.
It takes showing him the humanity that remains in Sidonis to get him to stand down.
I'm already a dead man. I don't sleep. Food has no taste. Some days, I just want it to be over.
Having said all that, I'm going to put this mission on the lower end because the Renegade path is kind of uninteresting. But this mission does remind us not to see the world in good and evil.
So much easier to see the world in black and white. Gray. I don't know what to do with gray.
Kasumi's loyalty mission is done well compared to Zaid's. I love how it brings stealth into an action shooter, fitting with Kasumi's theme as a thief. Speaking of which, Kasumi and Shepard have great chemistry here. The way they both bounce off each other, you'd think they've been companions for a long time.
It's clean.
It's a plant.
Donovan Hawk is also a great antagonist. He's real over the top and cheesy, making me want to take him down even more.
Don't bother Miss Goto. It's code-locked.
Of course, this mission is still limited by the fact that it is DLC. After this mission, you would think Shepard and Kasumi would grow a lot closer. Perhaps you could even romance her, but they can't really make that an option because she's not originally in the game. And as far as growth goes, Kasumi doesn't really change much from this mission. But this mission does introduce the best SMG in the game, so that's a plus.
The Casa Locust. The gun that killed 2 presidents.
The start of Grunt's loyalty mission is very enjoyable. I get emotionally invested when I see the way the Krogan treat Grunt for being Tankborn.
Keep your running pet on a short leash. Get him the right soon or put him down.
Even on Paragon runs, I'll play along to make Grunt seem strong.
Grunt is alive. You dare. I like this human. She understands.
The mission does fall off after this though. It may be odd to say in a shooter, but there's too much combat during the rite of passage. It's just waves of Varen, Clixon, and then a Thresher Maw. I also don't care much for Uvenk. He's just an uptight Krogan. That aside, this mission is still very important for Grunt.
You are Urdnot Grunt. Welcome.
The outcome makes him more than just a Krogan who's built to kill. Grunt has a place to call home and something to fight for.
I have a clan. That makes me... It makes me want to fight, not just able to.
Miranda does a lot of growing during her loyalty mission. At the start of Mass Effect 2, Miranda isn't kind to Shepard at all, but during her mission she'll demonstrate that she trusts Shepard quite a bit. She'll share with you her darkest secrets regarding her father and Oriana.
There are people who'd use her against me. I'm very protective when it comes to Oriana. I'm sorry I didn't trust you sooner.
We also see that despite being perfect, Miranda lets her emotional attachments blind her. It's pretty clear that Naked is going to betray her, but she will not see it.
No, he'd have to understand why I did it. He knows what I went through.
I believe the best part of this mission is when you make Miranda go see her sister, showing her that she does not need to keep people away to stay safe.
But would it really be so bad for her to know she has a sister who loves her?
I guess not.
Miranda has Oriana, and she also has Shepard too, because by this point she's gone from wanting to put a control chip in Shepard to considering them one of her closest allies.
Anyone I'm close to now works for Cerberus. Or you.
Jack's loyalty mission brings a lot of great character writing and some world building too. We learn more about Jack's past and what Cerberus did to her, and this is another look into what people do to unlock biotic potential. We already got a window into this when we talked to Kaidan, but the Telton facility is a different level.
We lowered core temperatures of surviving subjects, but no biotically beneficial reactions occurred. As a side effect, all subjects died.
I believe the best character moment comes from Jack and Aresh. They're both two sides of the same coin. Jack wants to cope with this place by destroying it, but Aresh is coping by restarting the entire thing, so he can justify all the pain that he went through.
Everything we went through must have been worth something.
The final walk with Jack was a great ending to this mission. You can see just what she felt from her upbringing. She was scared.
Sometimes I dream that I'm back in this bed being tortured.
She was lonely.
I used this table for everything. It was like my best friend.
And more importantly, she was angry.
See the scarring on the wall here? That's where I killed my first man. One of the guards tried to stop me. Instead, I stopped him.
Thane's loyalty mission sacrifices gameplay for great storytelling. This is all about Thane owning up to his mistakes as a father.
Don't blame yourself.
If I don't, who will? We must carry the weight of our decisions, Shepard.
And trying to stop his son Kolyat from going down a path of crime. The interesting thing here is that in most other loyalty missions you sympathize with your squad mate, but here the character I feel the worst for is Kolyat. He lost his mother at a young age and was neglected by his father.
And why did you leave her? Why weren't you there when she died?
Thane might be our friend, but you have to admit that he messed up.
They killed her to get to me. It was my fault.
But as I said, Thane is finally ready to take responsibility for his actions. Honestly, this mission would be top 3 if not for the following Jorm to lead moment, but it is still carried by the character moments between Thane and Kolyat.
Kolyat, I've taken many bad things out of the world. You're the only good thing I ever added to it.
As well as Commander Bailey.
This isn't a conversation you should have in front of strangers.
Also, it has one of the funniest Renegade lines ever.
Give me a name or I'll cut your balls off and sell them to a Krogan.
Legion's loyalty mission presents us with a moral problem. Is it better to rewrite the heretics or to destroy them? Even Legion is not able to form consensus on this.
We are conflicted. There is no consensus among our higher order runtimes.
This quote from Legion seems to indicate that we should leave the heretics alone.
Geth believe all intelligent life should self-determinate.
And the hypocrisy of rewriting them or destroying them is called out by our squad mate.
Every sapient has the right to make their own decisions. The heretics chose a path that prohibits coexistence.
That doesn't make sense. If they have the right to make their own decisions, how can you suggest brainwashing them to accept your way?
But the reason we're here at all is that the heretics want to brainwash Legion's Geth. What we learn here is that the Geth are more like us than we thought, because this fallacy and logic is what you would expect from an organic.
It couldn't have lasted forever. You disagreed about what path your race should take.
Human history is a litany of blood shed over differing ideals of rulership and afterlife. Geth have no such history. We shared consensus on such things. How could we have become so different? Why can we no longer understand each other? What did we do wrong?
However, this mission falls victim to the binaries of Paragon and Renegade. One of these choices must be good and one of these choices must be bad. But in reality, neither of them are either of those things. Even still, the critical thinking that this mission provokes is why it's so great. On top of that, this mission lays the groundwork for the Rannoch arc in Mass Effect 3. Mordin's loyalty mission has some of the best character writing in the game. As you know, when you question Mordin on the genophage, he'll rationalize it using numbers and simulations, and he does his best to absolve himself of guilt. Mordin is adamant that the damage caused by the genophage are the Krogan's fault and not his.
Genophage medical, not nuclear. No craters from virus, damage caused by Krogan, not Solarians, not me.
He's so removed from it that Mordin compares the genophage to gardening.
Had to keep Krogan population stable, 1 in 1,000. Perfect target, optimal growth. Like gardening.
But once you point out that the genophage has caused millions to die, Mordin is no longer so calm about it.
You're talking about murdering millions.
No, murdered no one. Altered fertility, prevented fetal development of nervous system. Have killed many, Shepard. Many methods. Gunfire, knives, drugs, tech attacks. Once with farming equipment, but not with medicine.
Mordin believes that he has not murdered anybody, and that's very important for him. That is until you find the dead Krogan woman. Finally, faced with a body that is related to the genophage, Mordin is forced to reckon with what his work caused.
Her death, not my work. Only reaction to it.
Here we see Mordin having a harder time justifying things to himself.
Look at the dead woman, Mordin. It doesn't look like you saved her.
No, it doesn't. Worked with available data. Only option. No other possible. Doesn't matter.
And it gets worse when Mordin sees how far Malin has fallen. What Mordin sees here bothers him so much that he almost forgets that he doesn't want to be a murderer.
Wait, you don't need to do this, Mordin. You're not a murderer.
No, not a murderer.
This mission is great because it impacts Mordin's entire character, and its final decision determines the entirety of the Genophage saga. On the surface, Tali's loyalty mission is about helping her prove her innocence, but there is an underlying story being told right alongside it, the debate between retaking the homeworld or focusing on colonial development. And what Tali's mission does so well is lay out the Quarian Admiral's positions on the matter.
Hangerel sees an enemy that must be crushed. Zalcorus would run away and hide on some new colony world. Shala-Ran is still undecided.
Going forward, all this will play a massive role in the conclusion of the Quarian and Geth war in Mass Effect 3, and the outcome of the trial has a massive impact on Tali. She will either be exiled or become a leader of her people. Tali's loyalty mission goes even further beyond. The Quarian Admirals also foreshadowed the 4 endings of Mass Effect 3. Zalcorus wants peace and harmony with the Geth, similar to the outcomes of Synthesis.
They are our children, Shepard. All done horrible things to each other, but it has to end. For both groups.
Zen wants to return to Geth to their rightful place as tools of the Quarians. She wants to take control of them.
It was built for the sole purpose of serving its master, and it can be dismantled whenever its master desires.
Han Garel wants to destroy the Geth no matter the cost, just like how picking Destroy will cost you all the other synthetics.
He was looking for something to give us an edge when we attacked the Geth in full-scale war.
Lastly, Shala-Ran is known for refusing to take a stance on the Geth, just like how you can refuse to use the Crucible.
I'm not giving you my opinion. I'm telling you which way the wind is blowing.
Tali's loyalty mission has great foreshadowing, has a huge impact on the plot of Mass Effect, and is very important to Tali's character. This is why Tali's loyalty mission is the best one.
Come on, Tali'Zorah Vas Normandy. Let's get back to our ship.
Thank you, Captain.